The room went silent the moment she laughed and held up the small velvet box. Everyone thought it held an engagement ring. Instead, it held the cheap metal watch he had saved for months to buy. "I'm sorry," she said with a smile that hurt more than shouting ever could. "Did you really think I wanted this life?" People around the restaurant looked away, pretending not to watch. Daniel stood there without saying a word. He picked up the watch, put it back into the box, wished her a happy future, and walked out alone. He never imagined that 5 years later, she would be the one waiting outside his office, hoping he would agree to meet. Back then, Daniel worked as a bicycle mechanic in a small neighborhood shop. His hands were always covered in grease, but he loved fixing things. Customers trusted him because he never charged for repairs people didn't need. The pay was barely enough to cover rent, but he believed that honest work mattered. His girlfriend Vanessa didn't always think that way. When they first met, she admired how hardworking he was. They spent evenings eating cheap street food, laughing over old movies and dreaming about the future. Daniel talked about opening his own repair business someday. Vanessa smiled, but as time passed, her dreams changed. Most of her friends had started dating men with expensive cars and good salaries. Social media filled her phone with luxury vacations, designer clothes, and perfect-looking lives. Little by little, she stopped asking Daniel how his day had gone. Instead, she asked why he still rode an old bicycle, why he rented such a tiny apartment, why he couldn't give her the life she deserved. Daniel worked longer hours. He repaired motorcycles after closing time. He skipped meals to save money. He even sold his late father's guitar to buy the watch he wanted to give her. He believed love was built through effort. Vanessa believed effort wasn't enough anymore. After that humiliating night, Daniel didn't call her once. The hardest part wasn't losing the relationship. It was realizing that the future he had imagined had disappeared overnight. For weeks he went to work, came home, and sat in silence. One evening, the owner of the repair shop placed a cup of tea beside him. "You've been fixing machines for years," the old man said. "When are you going to fix your own life?" Daniel laughed quietly. "I don't even know where to start." "Then start small." A few days later, the old owner announced his retirement. He planned to close the shop because none of his children wanted the business. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about it. He had no money to buy the shop, but he had something else: a reputation. Customers trusted him. One regular customer, a retired accountant named Mr. Collins, surprised him. "I've watched you for 3 years," the older man said. "You treat every customer like family." Daniel smiled politely. "I'm just doing my job." "No," Mr. Collins replied. "You're building something you don't even see." The retired accountant offered to lend Daniel enough money to rent a tiny garage and buy second-hand equipment. There was one condition. Daniel had to repay every cent. No discounts. No shortcuts. Daniel accepted immediately. The garage was barely large enough for 2 motorcycles. When it rained, water leaked through the roof. Some days only one customer came. Other days none came at all. There were nights when Daniel wondered if Vanessa had been right. Maybe dreams really belong to people born with money. Then something unexpected happened. A young delivery driver came in with a damaged motorcycle. Daniel repaired it overnight because the man depended on it for work. When the driver tried to pay extra, Daniel refused. "Just recommend me if you're happy." The driver did. Within weeks, dozens of delivery riders arrived. Then taxi drivers. Then small business owners. His honesty spread faster than any advertisement. Business finally began to grow. Just as things started improving, another problem appeared. A large repair chain opened only 2 streets away. They offered impossible discounts, bright signs, free coffee, television ads. Daniel lost almost half his customers within a month. Bills piled up. Mr. Collins never pressured him. But Daniel knew the loan payments couldn't wait forever. One night, while closing the garage, he noticed a woman struggling to push a broken scooter. She looked exhausted. "I know you're closed," she said. "But if I don't get this fixed tonight, I'll lose my nursing shift tomorrow." Daniel looked at the clock, then at the scooter. He unlocked the garage again. It took nearly 3 hours. The woman stayed with him, handing him tools whenever he asked. When the scooter finally started, She smiled with genuine relief. I don't know how to thank you. You already did. She looked confused. You reminded me why I opened this place. Her name was Emma. Unlike Daniel, she didn't speak much about herself. She worked long hospital shifts, cared for her younger brother, and rarely complained. Over the following months, she kept bringing coworkers to his garage. Sometimes she simply stopped by with homemade sandwiches because she noticed he often forgot lunch. Daniel never assumed it meant anything. He had learned not to mistake kindness for promises. Their friendship grew slowly. They talked while he worked, shared difficult days, laughed over small mistakes, trusted each other without realizing it. Then came the biggest turning point. One afternoon, an electric scooter company visited the garage. Their fleet manager had heard about Daniel from several employees. They needed someone to maintain hundreds of vehicles every month. It was the biggest opportunity of his life. But there was one problem. Daniel's tiny garage couldn't handle the contract. The company planned to sign with a larger competitor instead. For the first time in years, Daniel considered borrowing more money. Mr. Collins listened carefully. Then he shook his head. You don't need another loan. I don't have another choice. You do. What? Partners. Daniel hated the idea. He feared losing control. But Emma surprised him. My hospital is looking for local businesses to invest in community projects, she said. Let me introduce you to someone. That introduction changed everything. A local investment group agreed to support Daniel's expansion after reviewing years of customer reviews and financial records. Not because he was rich, because people trusted him. Within 18 months, his business expanded into several locations specializing in electric vehicle repairs. As cities shifted toward cleaner transportation, demand exploded. Daniel hired young mechanics who couldn't find work elsewhere. He paid for training programs, offered fair wages, and remembered every employee's name. Money finally arrived. Then more money than he had ever imagined. Magazines called him one of the fastest-growing entrepreneurs in the region. People praised his business skills. Daniel quietly knew the truth. His greatest investment had always been trust. One evening, he attended a charity fundraiser for vocational education. As he greeted guests, he noticed a familiar face standing near the entrance. Vanessa. She looked older. Not because of age. Because life had worn away the confidence she once carried. She hesitated before walking over. I wasn't sure you'd remember me. Daniel nodded politely. I remember. There was an awkward silence. I owe you an apology. He listened without interrupting. I thought success only looked one way, she admitted. I kept chasing people with money. None of them stayed. I hurt someone who actually cared. Daniel looked across the room where Emma was laughing with several volunteers. I wasn't a good person, Vanessa continued softly. You made a choice, Daniel answered. So did you. She looked at him with watery eyes. I heard you're worth millions now. Daniel smiled faintly. That's what people say. I was wrong about you. No. She frowned. I was poor. She looked surprised. I just wasn't poor in the way you believed. Before she could answer, Emma walked over carrying 2 glasses of water. Everything okay? Daniel smiled. Yes. Emma greeted Vanessa warmly, completely unaware of their history. Vanessa watched them together. She noticed the easy trust between them, the quiet respect, the comfort that didn't need expensive words. For the first time, she understood what she had really thrown away years earlier. Later that evening, Vanessa quietly left without asking for another chance. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask for forgiveness. Some doors only closed after people finally understood why they had been opened in the first place. Months later, Daniel and Emma married in a small community center instead of a luxury hotel. Most of the guests were mechanics, nurses, delivery riders, retired neighbors, and employees who had become family. Mr. Collins stood beside Daniel, smiling proudly. You paid back every dollar, the old man whispered. Daniel shook his head. I paid back much more than that. After the ceremony, Daniel opened a scholarship fund for young people who wanted to learn skilled trades but couldn't afford training. He never announced it publicly. He simply remembered what it felt like when someone believed in him before success made him easy to believe in. Years later, a visitor noticed the old metal watch displayed inside Daniel's office. "It doesn't look very valuable," the visitor said. Daniel smiled. "It isn't. Then why keep it?" He looked at the scratched glass for a long moment. "Because it reminds me of the day I lost someone who only saw what I didn't have, and the life I found because I refused to lose who I was."